The degree to which Andrew Tate has snitched on himself is boundless at this point. One of the most interesting aspects of this case, though, in my opinion, is his alleged ties to Romanian Mafia, mobsters, the gangs, all right? You know that I'm a gang expert, but a lot of people have overlooked the fact that Andrew Tate himself has said numerous times he locked in with the mob in Romania, all right? He's a criminal, all right? He's let everybody know he's criminal. And just a quick cursory reminder that pimping is illegal in the UK. All of his pimping university, you know that's illegal. You know it's criminals university, right? Hustlers university is traffickers and criminals university, and he is going to be facing justice for these things. But in this video, I'm going to take a deeper dive into all of the alleged connections between the Tate brothers and Romanian mobsters. Now, I've touched on this briefly in the past, but in this video, this is going to be the definitive mob breakdown for Andrew Tate, and he will be having a breakdown in his cell every night at the moment as well, just so you know. But anyway, okay, this is an early appearance. I'm not going to lie to you, even though I think Andrew Tate is a scumbag criminal trafficker who snitched on himself, he is funny. I've got to get, he is quite funny. He does know how to crack a few jokes, all right? And this episode of Your Mum's House podcast with Andrew Tate is one of the funniest things he's ever done, okay? Nearly as funny as having an entire criminal university based around pimping, which is illegal, but this podcast is a hoot. And in this podcast, he snitched on himself some more. So it was 2021 when this came out, okay, with Tom Segura and Christina P. They're just getting divorced now, apparently, which is tragic. All right. But in this video, he basically talks about how he makes money, which apparently included, okay, being in business in the Romanian casino business. And he apparently was working with 3 brothers that he described as mafia figures. Now, I wonder how they felt about being snitched on like this.
And how do you generate your income? Are you fighting? So, we know you're a fighter.
I was a fighter. So there's my 2 primary sources. I have 3 primary sources of income. Wait, 3, 4. I'm thinking of which ones I'll tell you about. Yeah. 4. I have 4 primary sources of income that I'm prepared.
I'm thinking of which ones I'll tell you about and which ones are criminal, illegal businesses that I won't tell you about publicly. So these are the things that he was willing to snitch on himself about. He thought these crimes are at least mild enough to talk about on a podcast. I'll only tell you about the mild ones.
Prepared to disclose to the world.
Sure,
okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
So all the shit that he says is the shit that he's prepared to disclose to the world. And you're telling me that this guy's never committed a crime? Okay.
So the first thing is I own some casinos in Romania.
Fantastic.
The story of how I opened them is long, but I'll make it very, very short. There was a guy who owns 400 casinos, 3 brothers, mafia guys. They own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe.
Why are you telling me this, sir? He said, I know some guys, 3 brothers, they own 400 casinos across Eastern Europe, mafia guys. Bro, you tell him.
I came up to him and said, look, I want to do a franchise with you. They said, we're not interested in franchises. We have enough money. We just open them ourselves. We turn over 10 million euros a day. Why do I need your franchise? Eventually, I came up with a plan. I said, look, how about this? I'll open up your locations directly next to your biggest competitor. So I'll go to war for you next to the competitor. Worst case, the location doesn't pay any money, but at least it takes money from your competitor. I'll give you a percentage of turnover. So even if it doesn't make profit, you make money. I'll take all the financial risk. They agreed. I started opening up next to their biggest competitor. I actually did something that was kind of funny. What I tried to do was find ones in between their competitor and a Starbucks. I'd open in the middle, and then I'd offer loads and loads of free coffee with a barista and a sexy chick. So instead of going to Starbucks, you could just take your money, go get free coffee, and gamble. And I ended up making a bunch of money. I took his competitor down, bang, bang, bang. So I opened them up. That's the first thing. That's the first one of the first ways I made money.
That's what's
good
up,
business.
Dude.
Yeah, they're all right. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. My first business with the Mafia, okay, with the Romanian Mafia, who I just snitched on, and it's illegal gambling. So this guy's meant to be good for men, right? This guy is like, the irony that he is now telling the world, they're after me, the Matrix is attacking me because I helped men. But it weren't so long ago you were helping men lose all their money gambling, and you're helping men lose all of their money to these webcam models, but the keyboard runs to you and your dudes that are in the back room helping guys nut. Okay.
Second, my brother runs a company that manages girls on OnlyFans. So a female without instruction is headed for destruction. Women are intrinsically lazy.
Yep.
Intrinsically. If you show a man how to make $1,000 in an hour, he'll think, I can make $24,000 a day. If you show a woman how to make $1,000 in an hour, she'll think, I only have to work 3 hours a week. Because they are fucking lazy.
Stupid bitches.
Lazy.
Entitled and fucking lazy.
Yep. Absolutely. So my brother comes
Hey, you
along.
just had that on deck.
Yeah.
Good job.
So my brother comes along and says, listen, you're making a little bit of money. You're a fine Caucasian of the wrong persuasion. The men think you're handsome. They should pay your ransom. We're going to change it up. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to install some structure and some discipline in your fucking life. And you're going to make some real money. And I'm going to get a percentage. So my brother runs an OnlyFans agency. I'll be honest.
What's the percentage?
I'll be honest. So my brother's making 200 grand a month from OnlyFans. Casino's making more than that. And then I've got an online school actually called Hustlers University. I have a university online. And
Really?
Yes. And I teach people how to make money with 18 modern wealth creation methods.
So that's okay.
So I've got my brother's got the pimping business on lock. All right. He's bringing discipline to these girls' lives. I've got my Mafia connected casino business, and like, okay, so we want to believe that this guy's completely innocent, right? He's in business with the literal mafia, and so from here, right, later on in the interview, Andrew Tate basically snitched on the whole mafia in Romania, and he basically says, yeah, there's a lot of mafia money in Romania. He said, Romania, where I moved to escape charges in the UK, yeah, there's a lot of mafia money there, and I'm getting my beak wet.
Yeah. This is how we drive in Romania. Click on that Lamborghini video. This is kind of up in the mountains a bit. You see, there's all like the little church things and stuff. So I'll show you quickly. This is how we're driving out there. Because there's basically no traffic laws. So yeah, we're having fun. So we're having fun.
Welcome to Romania.
Yeah. No front number plate, just like whatever.
My bad. That wasn't the part I thought. Hang on. My bad. It was right after this bit. Hang on. This is what he says.
We're having fun.
Welcome to Romania.
Yeah. No front number plate, just like whatever.
Are exotics like? Do you see them a lot, or just the ones you have?
There's a lot of mafia money out there.
There is.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Russians.
Yeah. There's loads of supercars out there.
Yeah.
But if you go back, scroll down. That's my.
There's a lot of mafia money out there. There's a lot of Russian money, a lot of illegal money driving supercars. Okay. Thanks, chum. We'll add that to the case files. So later on in the interview, all right, or interrogation, as you might want to call it, he would also admit some other crimes. He would also claim that he could arrange passports, guns, and bodyguards through any of his connections across Eastern Europe. You know, where there's a lot of mafia money that he just informed us of.
I'm going to bounce to Prague.
To Prague.
Hi, lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go check out Prague, and then I'm going to go to London for Christmas, and then I'm going to go to Dubai. And after that, I have some work I don't want to do, but I probably have to go to Thailand. And after all of that, I'm going to go to Warsaw, then Bucharest, and I'm staying there all summer.
Sweet.
That's the plan.
Summer in Bucharest.
That's the plan.
We'll link up
Beautiful.
somewhere, man.
Hey, I'm waiting for you guys
bro.
in Eastern Europe. Anywhere from Latvia, Estonia, all the way down to Bulgaria. I have it on lock. You tell me what you
homie.
need. You need a passport. You need a gun. You need bodyguards.
Bears.
You need bears. You need Lambos. Army tank.
We're coming.
Drop me a
We're coming,
text.
dude.
I got the connections. No problem.
Let's do
You're
it.
the man.
Yeah, you know, from all the way to the top of Latvia to the bottom of Eastern Europe, I got guns, bodyguards, crimes, criminal activities, you know, law breaking. I got it on lock. That's my area. I got it on lock, right? That's okay. Okay, so there's a really good article from a group called the Rise Project, and they've actually done a great investigation into how Andrew Tate and his brother got involved with organized crime in Romania. This is very, very interesting. This is very, very self-snitchy. Says how the Tate brothers came to Romania and how they first made contact with organized crime. Rise Project presents Andrew and Tristan Tate's real estate business dealings in Romania. The two brothers were arrested for forming an organized crime group, human trafficking in our word, alongside their accomplice, Georgiana Nagel. Like, giving Ghislaine vibes to me there. But anyway, below, we show you how they met and what businesses she ran in their name, as well as who constantly withdrew money from their accounts. Anti-mafia prosecutors show that the Brits laundered the money they made from human trafficking through real estate deals, and they were investigated for this in the human trafficking case. What case? I thought the case was a big nothing burger. But I thought there was no evidence, no proof. What? The first public images of Andrew and Tristan Tate in Romania that Rise Project has identified were taken at an event on August the 4th, 2014. That is damn near precisely 12 years ago today. What a bizarre timeline, okay? So this is some kind of boxing match. There they are behind this guy, the Bone Crusher, backed up by Tristan Tate with the fedora, the cursory fedora, and Andrew Tate back when his hairline was a little bit more powerful. Yeah. Look at the way Tristan's walking as well. Look at his gait. He's got one of the most sus gaits I've ever seen in my life. This guy's gait is absolutely insane. All right, Bone Crusher, got nothing bad to say about Bone Crusher, to be honest with you. Bone Crusher seems like a stand-up guy. Definitely don't want to get my bones crushed anytime soon. But anyway, says at the time Andrew Tate was the older brother was 27. He had yet to become one of the most Google searched people in the world. Andrew Tate and David up there on the most Googled people. What a great company to be in. He'd yet to move to Romania at this point in order to do business with local mafia, and he hadn't locked up women in his property on the outskirts of Bucharest yet. So much to do, so much to see. In August 2014, the Tate brothers were photographed and filmed during a Las Vegas-style fight, but the fight took place in Constanta County resort of Mamaia, on a beach crowded with families and with children who had come to take a gander. And the Tate brothers didn't fight anyone that day. They just carried towels for a Polish fighter. I thought he was a world champion kickboxer. He sounds like he's a world champion towel carrier. But anyway, it says they were both wearing t-shirts with the Storm Gym logo on it, the gym at which they were working out at the time. There they trained with the Polish fighter. Storm Gym is located in Luton, a small London suburb with a large community of Romanian and Polish immigrants, as well as the place where the Tate brothers grew up. Okay? I got nothing bad to say about this guy. He looks like a charming fella. At the time, Andrew Tate had won a few belts in British kickboxing galas. The Pole trained at the same gym as him. He had come to Mamaia. How do I say it? Let me quickly just quickly confirm that I'm saying this. I'm gonna say Mamasama Mahusa. Mamaia. Wait, how do I pronounce this bad boy? Mamaia. Mama. I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly. I believe I am actually pronouncing it correctly. Let's see. Let's listen. Prepare your ears.
Mamaia.
Mamaia. Mamaia. To fight Sandu Lungu, a nationalist wrestler weighing 363 pounds. Everyone at the beach that day rooted for the Romania. After the Mamaia fight, the Tate brothers had stayed on a few days to party with the organizers. They said the night is on fire. Tristan Tate, King Tate, come to Brasov. Someone said, you bring the vodka. That was when Sebastian Viru, co-owner and organizer and promoter of mixed martial arts RXF galas, entered the scene. At first in 2012, RXF stood for the Romanian Extreme Fighting. They organized events in cages with fences that the fighters couldn't climb over in order to exit the ring. In 2016, the brand became Real Extreme Fights and extended to the entire region. Throughout the years, fighters from all over Europe took part in the RXF galas organized by Viru. There it is, RXF. Not UFC. Once the Tate brothers settled in Romania, Viru became one of their trusted friends. After attending 2 other RXF galas with the same Polish fighter, Andrew and Tristan moved up to the RXF gala premium commentator status. They spoke English with a British accent and came from the wrestling world. They had won a few competitions in British circuits and trained in the London suburbs. Unlike the bored Romanian commentators, the two Tates really put on a show behind the mic. So there they are, getting their brand risk on. These are Aiden Ross needs to move over because this is a real brand risk right here. Okay, you might risk you know what I'm saying, your daughter might not come home from this brand risk event. It says no one bothered to check the stories that they told about their past, and Viru liked them because they knew how to sell their swag. The man who sat the Tate brothers down at the same table with organized crime. Sebastian Viru, the public face of RXF events, actually leads to a much more complex group of interests. Nowadays, he's famous in the world of collision sports, does interviews about the competitions he organizes and the fighters he promotes, and is a constant fixture on sporting podcasts and TV networks. Before RXF, he tried his luck in real estate and consultancy and even owned a company named after his initials, VGS, Viru Grigor Sebastian. Nowadays, however, Viru leads his existence under a different coat of arms with a different set of initials, DMS. 3 capital letters that stand for Doroftai Mihai. Ooh, how do we pronounce this bad boy? Let's see. Let's find that out too. Let's get everything correct. All right. How do I pronounce that? That is sounding mental. Let's see it. It's a Romanian last name.
Mihaița.
Mihaița. Doroftai, Mihaița, and Sorin. 2 brothers from... Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Okay. We're going to get everything right in this video. We're going to get everything right.
Succeva.
From Succeva and not just Succeva, right? From this place.
Hello, Don Francis. Yash. Yash.
Yash. It's just Yash. Who relocated from Brasov. Did I say that right? From northeastern Romania to Transylvania. Together with them, Viru founded the RXF brand. They were also the owners of the Las Vegas casino chain, which operates hundreds of venues throughout the country, as well as thousands of slot machines at their locations or in village taverns, and through which they constantly sponsor the gala. So, here is the interesting thing. So I believe when Andrew Tate is snitching and he's hopping on podcasts talking about, I got in the business with Romanian Mafia, and they basically, it's three brothers that are running hundreds of casino. Oh, okay, so cool. These are the gangsters you're talking about. Brilliant. Thanks for snitching on them. So they basically all got together, and it sounds like maybe they're not necessarily three brothers. It sounds like it's two brothers who had relocated and got into business with the other guy, Viru. And so it sounds like they've become brothers, but it's not necessarily three brothers. It says, over the past 4 months since the outbreak of the scandal, Sebastian Viru has persistently defended the Brits. And the R-word thing, when you have a full fridge at home and get food from all over the place, just as an aside, I don't think you need someone else's sandwich anymore. I don't think they ever had to go out and R-word something. The house in question is guarded by a security company. If the women were really locked up, they could have complained. I don't think any doubts can be cast about the security guards that they were on their side. Huh? So it's impossible to do the R word if you have a secure compound. And if you have women, if you already have women locked up at home, or as he describes it, a full fridge, and you get food from all over the place, I don't think you need someone else to sandwich it. I don't think, if you've got a fridge full of food and you're known for grabbing food and taking food off people, and you're just a hungry gobbler, you wouldn't possibly steal a sandwich without asking, would you? Oh, wait a minute, maybe you would. One of the Tate brothers' bodyguards is a constant fixture in RXF cage fights, and the Brits have repeatedly fought wrestlers promoted by RXF. There he is. Andrew Tate's got such a weak chin. Like, his jawline's awful. Clavicular needs to put him onto the surgery. But anyway, another company founded by Sebastian Viru and the Doroftai brothers, Royalty Sport Management, is now associated with Andrew Tate. The Doroftai brothers have left the company and transferred it to Viru. Royalty Sport later partnered with Tate in another business venture. This company organizes other MMA galas. KO Masters, Bulletin de Bucharesti, reported on the business connection between the owners of the Las Vegas casinos and the Brits, but the legal department behind the slot machines denied the information. At the first RXF event in Brasov in 2011, Viru was in the audience with, how did I say that one again? Mihaitsa Doroftai as they watched the fights together. Mihaitsa Doroftai, aka Polonezu, meaning the Pole, is wanted by anti-mafia prosecutors in his capacity as the leader of the largest organized crime cartel in Romania's recent history. He gathered underworld leaders all over the country at the same table and paid their wages for years on end. Legally, they were hired as the technicians tasked with fixing the slot machines at the Las Vegas gambling venues. That's very interesting. I'm scared of these guys now. In reality, that's what you call a no-show job, I think, in The Sopranos, in the mob. In reality, the maintenance department was actually an army of fighters. Some of them attended RXF wrestling galas, while they also went after the jackpot winners at the Las Vegas casinos. Really? After a month before prosecutors from the Organized Crime and Terrorism Investigation Department, DCOT, barged in on the Tate brothers, they had raided the mobsters involved in the Las Vegas mega case. The law enforcement officers argued that they should be arrested for blackmail, violent debt recovery, kidnapping, and other mafia-style activities. Oh boy. According to DCOT files, for at least 5 years, players who won too much money at the Doroftai brothers casino were beaten until they returned their jackpots. One winner was beaten up, undressed, and threatened with the R-word if he kept insisting to get his winnings. But I thought these guys had fridges full of food at home. They wouldn't possibly want to do that, right? They have casinos full of chips. Why would they need to do that? We see something that we have not encountered in the past. The leaders of the organized crime groups have forgotten their pride in order to share their sphere of influence and benefits. Cosmin Andreka, the head of the Romanian branch of Europol, told Romanian television at the time of the raids. Doroftai's army was tasked with hostile casino takeovers from the competition by pressuring gambling venue owners to hand over their businesses. So they're saying that these two are locked in. They're running the Las Vegas enterprise that runs all these gambling spots. And then basically these are all dudes that are working underneath them. All right. And allegedly Andrew Tate had his own little gambling operation going on. So you can read more about the connections between the Tate and the Rothschild brothers, as well as the casinos they own together in the next episode of this investigative series Link. But until then, you can learn more about how the Brits first got into business in Romania before opening these businesses. Viru, the Rothschild brothers' man, introduced the two Britons to the real estate business, and later they became so close that the Brits even gave him access to their accounts. Now we get to the hidden properties. The Tate brothers' first real estate investments would have never happened without their new friend in Brasov, Sebastian Viru. They had the cash while Viru had the friends who were building high-rises and needed clients. Okay, he's got big stacks. He's getting some money over in Romania. He's a gangster, right? He reminds me of Christopher out of The Sopranos, to be honest with you. The way he moves and the way he looks and his weak chin. Since coming to Romania, the Tate brothers have made several investments in houses and land. 3 of them, which are residential or party houses, are located at addresses where town planning and town hall bureaucratic chaos have made them difficult to find in state archives and databases. Not even in the National Land Registry Agency can find... not even the National Land Registry Agency can find Andrew Tate as a former owner on their database. Do you remember when he said on that podcast, these are the income streams that I'll tell you about, but there's others that I won't? The government can't even find out what he's got into over there in Romania. For example, the house where the Tate brothers actually lived is located at Drumul Biserici, number 50, but it shares this address with 2 blocks and 30 other houses. Another house which they own in Komarnich shares an address with the ruins of a former state factory and a huge retailer. Their property, however, is located 2 kilometers away, i.e. 2 streets away. Moreover, some of these properties were bought through intermediaries or later transferred to the names of others. 3 of these properties, which they rented or owned, have no neighbors or are located in cul-de-sacs which make them nearly impossible to identify. Bran, the town where they purchased land in order to build a castle to house the girls they were exploiting online, has several postal address numbers for each property. On each gate you'll find the old house number, the new one, and a third meaningless number for which villagers have no explanation. In addition, according to the arrest report, several properties were traded under a single contract for a single lump sum that included all the properties without separately identifying the price of each. The first real estate deal. The Tate brothers' first real estate investment was in... let's see. Where was it? It was in Secele. Let me just make sure I'm saying this right. Secele in Brasov. Let me make sure I'm saying Brasov right too. Right? Because these guys have got off on a few brasses. Let me see. How is it said? How is it pronounced? How to pronounce Brasov? Secele.
Brașov.
In Secele and Brasov County, in 2010, an investor had started the construction of an apartment building in... Oh, my God. These words are crazy. Let's just get it all right. All right, let's get it all right. Narceselo. Narceselo Street. At number 70 is the last building you see before exiting the building and entering the forest. The real estate project was abandoned and taken over by Vasil Mezdrea, a Brasov... How am I supposed to say it again? This is getting techy. In a Brasov real estate agent. Mezdrea gathered money from his acquaintances in order to finish the construction. Today, Mezdrea is an activist for the rights of developers who want to build high-rises and mountains and hills around the city of
Brașov.
So he convinced people to invest in his construction sites and now does advocacy work as a simple citizen for other developers' construction sites at the Brașov City Council. He's also a member of the ultra-nationalist Greater Romanian Party, but didn't get enough votes to receive voting rights in the Brașov City Council. In the summer of 2015, after being brought to Brașov by Sebastian Viru, the Tate brothers invested in Vasil Mezdrea's abandoned construction site. Since then, real estate agent Mezdrea has also become a developer. His uncle, whose name is also Vasil Mezdrea, recalls that in 2015 his nephew didn't have the money to finish building the apartment building and was looking for investors. He received help from his friend Sebastian Viru, as his uncle of the same name describes him. Mezdrea was asking for a minimum of 19,000 euros for the apartments like the old ones he sold to the Tate brothers. Guess that's what they look like. So 19,000 euros, is that it? It's cheap as hell over there. In 2015, Mazdreya signed a sale purchase promissory agreements back when the apartment block he was building on the outskirts of the town Sachele. Is that one correct? Wait. I gotta nail these. Sachele was still a construction site. He had nothing to sell yet. He was only peddling promises. Several people pledged to buy his apartments when they were ready, and the payment deadline was November the 30th, 2015. At the time, Mazdreya sold 2 apartments to Andrew Tate and Melissa Wade, one of the girls the brothers were posting online at the time. Wade was reliable. She had been a third party in several of the brothers' business ventures. Years later, the Tate brothers' Dubai operations were also transferred to her name. Then, in 2016, when construction had already ended, Tristan Tate also bought an apartment in the same building. The Tates and Mazdreya later became friends and kept socializing at bars and at public outings several years after that. The paper trail of the Sachele deal. According to public statements, the Tate brothers and Melissa Wade bought some apartments that they lived in and later sold them at a higher price. They seem like ordinary citizens who cashed in on a real estate bubble, but the actual real estate transactions were more complicated. However, after the Brits got the apartments from the developer, they gave them back before they had ever reached their actual owners. Bit suspicious, that, isn't it? There's no way of knowing whether the apartment scheme was just real estate speculation or money laundering. For that, we would have to know the amount of money that exchanged hands. Whether they sold high, then bought low, or vice versa. That is, we would have to be able to analyze the price difference between these transactions. We tried to find the value of the Sachele apartments, but the information is not public. Mazdreya said his role in the transaction was that of an agent. Since they bought the facilities from me, being myself a real estate broker, obviously the easiest thing to do was to sell them through me. I was the one who helped them with the locations, and obviously it was simply normal given the trusted relationship and friendship to give them back to me. Eventually I sold them to whoever I thought fit. Everyone was happy with this business. Today, prosecutors allege the Tate brothers invested the money they made exploiting women on the internet into real estate, where the webcam money was invested. We're getting deep in the iceberg here, people. The Tate brothers' famous property in the north of Bucharest was bought from a couple of real estate swindlers, but they didn't purchase all of it as they publicly alleged. That's where they were arrested in the final days of 2020. Their fans believe the property was worth between $7 and $30 million. I didn't think it looked like anywhere near that. It looked trash. It looked like a couple of porta cabins where you had a couple of girls chained up doing webcam to me. That's where they brought the girls that they wanted to impress with their luxury car fleet. It was located a mere 5-minute walk away from the house where the victims were locked up and forced to sell their bodies on the internet. In reality, the house came at a much cheaper price point and had previously served as a carpentry shop. See, I told you it looked like an industrial property. They still share the property with the former owners, the Durabout family, who access it through the back entrance. They bought more than half of the house and the whole yard with the swimming pool and parking lot for 740,000 euros. This is not the only deal the Tate brothers and the Durabout family made together. On Praova Valley in the Komenich, the site of many traffic jams on DN1 as you drive from Bucharest to Europe. Oh my gosh. Catalina Durabout sold the Tate brothers another property. The Komarnich Crossroads is located in front of the former brick factory, Voltarol SA on Republikai number 4. The company was dismantled and its real estate assets then scattered. Some real estate speculators took one big part, a big box retailer, building a store on another piece of land there, while some annexes and a plot of land went to the Tate brothers. The factory building itself was scrapped. The Tate brothers own a house behind the former plant. The address is nearly impossible to find for someone who can't piece together the history of the property and is simply visiting the Tate brothers. Look at that spooky looking ass house. Jesus. The two Brits didn't purchase this property directly from Voltarol SA, the former state-owned factory, but from Tarmac Investments, a company owned by Catalina Durabout. She's the same person from whom they purchased the Voluntari house where the influencers now live. The prosecutors say that they made these investments in order to launder the money they made from digital prostitution. How business started. It took another 5 years after this photo of Georgiana Nagel and Andrew Tate was taken in this Lamborghini in Prahova Valley in May 2017 before they would be arrested together for human trafficking. There she is. Is that Ghislaine? Is that Ghislaine Tate? I don't know. You guys tell me. The woman had access to the webcamming accounts registered to the victim names, and she was also in charge of organizing the parties that were sometimes attended by underage girls. Hadn't heard that before. Hadn't heard that allegation before. Several of the brothers' companies and properties have been transferred to Nagel's name. The victims didn't have access to the content that got posted and had no right to decide on the images of themselves. The accounts were managed by Nagel. She also collected the money on her card and handed the victims some of it, claiming that the income was being equally divided between them. The victims, however, didn't know how much money they were actually making for the Tate brothers. Illegal. The prosecutors say the money sat in online banking platform accounts such as Revolut or PayPal, and from there the madam withdrew the petty change that she gave the girls. The police first visited the Tate brothers in April 2022 after the US Embassy to Bucharest reported that a female American citizen was being held against her will by the Tates and guarded by Nagel. See, this is why they're persona non grata in Florida, and this is why when they landed in Florida for the first time, they were being investigated. You can't traffic no American females to Bucharest and force them to stay there. The US Embassy got involved. This is a problem. The gall that they thought they could rock up to the US is laughable after they had this going on. Subsequently, Talisman Enterprises SRL and Emery Andrew Tate SRL were transferred into Georgiana's name. That's ironic, right? Tristan's nickname and Andrew's literal name, okay, literally, oh no, this is Georgiana's business now. How stupid do you think they are? The madam, however, didn't have access to the account. She was just centralizing the money earned by the girls who were being pimped out on the internet. She is a devious one by the look of her. Instead, Sebastian Viru, the organizer of the MMA galas, was listed as the manager of the Talisman Enterprise accounts. He withdrew money at leisure, and through him, the Tate brothers met Nagel in 2015 while she was working as an RXF gala hostess. The brothers were moving up from towel boys to hosts. They're going to be towel boys again when they get to the British prison for sure. Although early on they had won belts at local UK MMA galas, in Romania their only role was to entertain. In those years, the Tate brothers were circulating massive amounts of cash through the Talisman company. The transactions drew the attention of tax inspectors, and in 2021 they fined the company. Those inspection documents have come into the possession of the Rise projects. In 2020, the Tate brothers made purchases through Talisman Enterprises worth over 2.6 million lei. How much is 2.6 million lei? Let's see in USD. Wow. So about just over $500,000. Okay, pretty decent. $500,000. So Talisman Enterprise spent like just $570,000 worth. Then the tax authorities caught them as they were withdrawing the money back from the company in installments that exceeded the legal cap. We discovered the money that these two brothers had lent to their own company was used to purchase a house in Tunarai and the one where they live in Voluntari. The fiscal authorities do not know where this money came from. They only fined them for the withdrawals. Nowadays, anti-mafia prosecutors say the 2021 transactions monitored by the fiscal authorities represented the Tate brothers' efforts to launder money they had made from human trafficking. The story of Talisman Enterprises is even more complicated as the company is also involved in the gambling industry. So I thought there was no evidence. I thought there was zero evidence. There's no evidence, and they're mad at them for making TikToks. Apparently not. Ever since the Tate brothers' arrest, publications from all over the world have tried to find out whether or not they also own casinos in Romania. The answer was always in front of the cameras. The whole world saw where they lived when they were taken in by the anti-mafia prosecutors and when the luxury cars which they had used to impress their victims were seized. No, they didn't model their home on the casino. Oh, mate. Wow. No way. No. It's fucking superb. Mwah. Oh, chef's kiss for that one. Fucking hell. They modeled their house on the casino. I thought there was no evidence. I thought there was no evidence. You guys are living in the casino with the mob. You know the mob that you said in the podcast you were locked in with? You know the mob? You know the illegal mafia? You know how the mafia is illegal? The mafia and their historic illegal business. You know how you said that the Romanian mafia was a bunch of brothers that operated hundreds of casinos in Romania? Well, there's not very many multi-hundred chains of casinos in Romania. How comes the only casino chain in Romania which you claim is Mafia run looks like your house? Fucking it. I can't lie. This one's sending me. You really, you guys love snitching on your, you modeled your crib after the illegal Mafia casino? The illegal. There's no evidence though, right? Don't make me pull up the lawyer saying there's no evidence. There's no evidence, ever. There's no evidence. Except the house. Yo. Nah, brother. Their house looks exactly the same. Exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's literally, brother. I wasn't expecting it to be this bad. Their house looks exactly the same as all the casinos in the Las Vegas chain. And that led us to the largest organized crime syndicate in Romania's recent history. You know, the illegal Mafia. Oh, mate, stop it. That's crazy. Even the panels, they probably had the same company. They probably had the same designers come round and fit out their fucking house. And the mob let them do this. Right? Fucking hell. That's how it ends. That is the greatest mic drop I have ever seen in history. It's the house is the same. That's fucking brilliant. That is brilliant. That is so good. I'm so glad. I'm backing up this article. The article's been downloaded. You can't delete this one. All right. What an absolute clown show. It's the same. It's exactly the same as the illegal casino. We made our house the same as the... Oh, fucking hell. So, look, let's move on from this, right? I'm going to wrap it up soon. I've just got a couple links I want to show you. But basically, the channel, The Billionaire Life, actually did quite a good job at covering the alleged Mafia members around Andrew Tate that basically had used, methods of blackmail and extortion. And this is a very, very interesting breakdown of some more of the illegal business that was going on.
As we see here, we are able to find a lead from this information. So in the same casino in Dobresti, we see these three guys sitting at the slot machines with the caption that translates to, "We are still working too." Okay? So why is this important? Clearly this is the same casino. In fact, it actually looks like they're sitting right here, where is in the background in this video. If you take a look again at this picture. So they're sitting right in the same casino that Tate owns, and they're working there. And so clearly they're working for Tate in some capacity. Now, what they haven't disclosed here is that they're actually enforcers for Tate, kind of security. Now, they did a little bit of dirty business, which we're going to be talking about. Obviously, they're a crime family. So what they would actually do is they would wait for somebody to win a jackpot, and then they would go and they would blackmail them into giving back their money, or they would literally just beat them up. They would also beat up other people. Now, this is all alleged, but I'm going to be providing some evidence here in this video for all this stuff. So we see this guy, he's got this star tattoo. Now, in the Eastern mafias, that is usually a sign of a higher rank. In the Russian mafia, that means you kneel for nobody, and that means you're essentially a made man. Now, we see he's photographed with this guy here. Now, this guy appears to be like a captain in the...
I'm not going to lie, that was super interesting. I never heard that. So the knee tattoo means you kneel for nobody and you're a made man in the mob, in the Russian Eastern European mob. That's mental.
For all this stuff. So we see this guy, he's got this star tattoo. Now, in the Eastern mafias, that is usually a sign of a higher rank. In the Russian mafia, that means you kneel for nobody, and that means you're essentially a made man. Now, we see...
I can't lie, bro. That's some of the most gangster shit I've seen, and he rolling around with the ripped jean to let everybody know. So if you ever see an Eastern European, they got the ripped jean and they got the tack poking out the knee, they don't fuck around. That's actually mental. I didn't know that.
Mafia, that means you kneel for nobody, and that means you're essentially a made man. Now, we see he's photographed with this guy here. Now, this guy appears to be like a captain in the family. Now, we know this because, firstly, he's got the star tattoos, which again signifies a certain rank. And then also he is photographed several times with the boss of the family. So this is the boss of the family right here. Here's our guy from Facebook. Here he is again. Here's the boss. Here he is again. Here's the boss. Here's the boss. Here's our guy. Here's our guy. Here's the boss. Here's the boss. Here's our guy. Okay, so this guy and the boss are very closely associated, and it appears that this guy is ranked a little bit beneath this guy. This guy appears to be like the captain of the family. Okay, so we see that this guy is clearly associated with the crime family. Now we have additional evidence for this because we actually literally see a photograph with a DMS tattoo on his hand. Here we see him with another guy. They both have DMS tattoos. And here's the face shot, which clearly matches our guy, which we have been talking about so far in the video. So essentially, to establish what we have so far, we got a guy who is highly associated with the DMS crime family, a made member of the DMS crime family based on his star tattoo on the knee. And he is working and sitting directly in Tate's casino. So we know that this is our guy who is Tate's contact to the DMS crime family. Okay, so we've established that. We have some other photos from this captain of the family. He's actually very flashy on social media, posts a lot of selfies, not a lot of detail that you can glean, but it seems like he's living the high life. Actually kind of reminds me of Tate a little bit and some of the stuff that he posts and places he visits and stuff like that.
Very, very interesting. Now, what he's about to say, which is really fascinating, is he's basically going to make the argument that it's possible that actually Andrew Tate's arrest in Romania might have happened after the Mafia basically sold him out and cut their ties with him and decided they weren't fucking with him no more. And then he gets gobbled up by D-Corp.
So a little bit about the boss of the family. We see him listed in the Romanian police records as being the organizer of the family. We also see his photograph right here. Now this kind of leads us into his relationship with Andrew and Tristan and why they are no longer working together. Now we can confirm that they are no longer working together because there is actually a letter that I got a hold of from the lawyer of the family. Now, this is from the Rise Project. The Rise Project did a story on Andrew and Tristan Tate. In section number 5, they ask if they are involved in the Tate family anymore. And they say that we are no longer in business with the Tate brothers, or not anymore we do business with the Tate brothers. So they confirm that they previously did do business with them, but they are no longer involved. So what happened? What went down? Now, there were a few things that happened. Firstly, they started to get some more heat. Now, this is an article from a Romanian publication where somebody won $125,000 in a Las Vegas branded casino in Romania. And what happened is this guy won 125 grand, as you can see in this video, and very excited. And then we don't actually see it in the video, but he was not awarded the money according to reports. You can see an employee stepped in here and then actually they unplugged the machine. So that was the first little blow. They started to get a little bit of heat from this. They didn't give out the prize money that was promised. And then a little bit later, there was a major DCOT raid where they raided 123 different people. But they were raiding these guys because they said they were applying different forms of blackmail to representatives of some commercial companies. They had different security guards whose role was to recover the large profits obtained in their hauls and had to scare the competition so that they would not open their hauls or close the ones that they had next to those at the network. And essentially these guys were going around like thugs, and they were basically saying, hey, give us your winnings back or else we're going to beat you up. Now, this is in English here. I had to put it in a Word document, but the original article is in Romanian. I will link it in the description down below if you want to read up on it yourself. But essentially we started to see some heat. Now, here's a really interesting part of this. This scandal happened in November 23rd, 2022. Just a month before Andrew Tate was initially arrested for human trafficking. Now, there is actually speculation that some of the members of the crime family cooperated with law enforcement and provided evidence against Andrew Tate. And there's further speculation that the reason these guys were raided in the first place was to try to collect evidence for Andrew Tate and his actual prosecution. Now, obviously, that's just hearsay. It's hard to confirm whether that happened or not. You would have to be inside the interrogation room. But the timeline is very interesting, that it happened just a month before Andrew Tate's arrest.
Now that's interesting. So they're saying that they might have actually raided the Romanian mobsters to get evidence for Andrew Tate, and they probably wasn't feeling that. He was bringing too much heat to the crew. He on podcasts talking about, I'm in business with the mob. I'm in business with the mafia. Like, tell you what, let me just give you a reminder. Let's just go full circle for a minute so you guys understand how dumb this moron is, okay? Let's just cast our minds back a few minutes to this.
Around the world.
May I ask, because the audience would, we've been following you, and how do you generate your income? Are you fighting? We know you're a fighter.
I was a fighter. So there's my two primary sources. I have three primary sources of income. Wait, 3, 4. I'm thinking of which ones I'll tell you about.
Yeah.
4. I have 4 primary sources of income that I'm prepared to disclose to the world.
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
The first thing is I own some casinos in Romania.
Fantastic.
The story of how I opened them is long, but I'll make it very, very short. There was a guy who owns 400 casinos, 3 brothers, Mafia guys. They own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe. I came up to him and said, look, I want to do a franchise with you. They said, we're not interested in franchise.
Sorry.
Make it very, very short. There was a guy who owns 400 casinos, 3 brothers, Mafia guys. They own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe.
Oh. You mean this, right? You mean this casino? You mean this casino that your house looks like? Right? When you say there's brothers, the brothers, mafia guys. The mafia guys? The mafia guys. The
guy who owns 400 casinos, 3 brothers, Mafia guys. They own 400 casinos throughout Eastern Europe. I came up to him and
oh, and your house looks like the casino. Got it. Okay. And then these guys are getting raided because of your nonsense. Got it. Okay. I'm surprised they've even let him live, to be honest with you. But anyway, all right. I'm not calling for any kind of violence. I'm just surprised because I thought there was this thing called omerta. All right. But maybe they don't. I don't know if that's how the Romanian mafia roll. I don't know. All right. Andrew Tate definitely doesn't practice omerta. But basically, the relationship between Andrew Tate and the Romanian mafia soured, and that might be the reason that he ended up in all these problems. Listen to this.
Now, this kind of lays the groundwork for why this relationship started to sour. Essentially, it sounds like things just got too hot in there. There was too much heat around this casino, and there were starting to be too many controversies. And with Tate's rise to fame and power and success, it seemed like this family didn't want so much drama on their hands. I mean, let's be honest, the Las Vegas casino that Tate was running was causing them a lot of trouble, and his online presence probably wasn't helping either. Now, we actually have one more piece to the story. What we see is actually what the family is working on now. It seems like they have kind of shifted their focus away from the casinos. Like I said, they've started shutting down a lot of these, and they're starting to expand into more legitimate businesses. This happens a lot with crime families. After they reach a certain size, they actually just start to go more into legitimate businesses. And I found this Facebook post from just around a month ago, August 28th, 2024. And here we see a reporter who says that the guy here, the boss of the family, is working on a massive new stadium that's going to be essentially a complex for various different sports, and it's just going to be kind of a community center in general. And this is not exactly the type of thing that you want to be involved in the underworld. You want this to be more of an open and family-friendly environment, and so that is why essentially they have decided to start to distance themselves from the Tate brothers and from the organized crime headlines in general. Now, I'm sure they're still involved in some things that are part of the crime underworld, but I think that they want to keep a much lower profile while they get permits and while they get their construction underway for this massive new project that's clearly going to need investors and a lot of relationships to go the right way in order for this project to be successful. So this is everything I could find relating to the DMS.
Very interesting. I honestly am dumbfounded that this guy really had his home modeled like the Mafia casino. Like the illegal Mafia casino. I can't believe it. So look, I'm still digging into Tate. There's still more. Hey, listen, we're not at the bottom of the iceberg yet. We're not even at the deep depths with Ocean Gate and them. Okay, we are going to get even more on the Tates. It's looking bad. All right, and no one's going to save him. The mob ain't going to save him. Trump ain't going to save him. Barron Trump, Donald Trump. Tiana Trump ain't going to save his ass. All right, he going down, and it's going to be glorious. So I'll keep you guys posted on any new developments with Tate, with the mob, with his absolute nonsense. But that one, frankly, was insane. I cannot believe it. What a dummy. self-snitching, just like all the rappers. They're all the same, all these gangsters. Like, doesn't matter where you're from, what race you are, what background you are, what part of the world you're from. It just seems like everybody, when they're involved in crimes, they just can't keep their lips shut. It's like, from Sammy the Bull to Lil Durk to Andrew Tate, just don't do crime, people, okay? Don't do crime. Be an honest person, live an honest life, live within the confines of the law, or you're going to end up facing these kinds of problems, okay? That's all the advice I can give. I'll wrap it up there. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Peace.